guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we will take a look at some new Just No HOA content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, Constant Shouting Matches. We had a crazy experience with our old condo HOA a number of years ago dealing with a particular crazy resident. We lived there for a couple years, with absolutely no issues. We didn't even realize there was an HOA except that the lawn and grounds were maintained. I should note that for board elections, you either had to go to the annual meeting and vote in person or submit a proxy. For convenience and because no one noticed anything, they usually had us fill out a proxy when we came in to pick up new parking stickers for our car. One day a woman came to our door. She had a list of grievances about how the current board was running things. It was a 2-page list with some pretty extreme ethical violations, potentially even criminal ones about how the current president embezzled $50,000 to redo her bathroom but refuses to give money for other people's problems. The list was appalling. Since we didn't have much of a feel for how things worked, it was kind of shocking that all of this was going on right under our noses. We kind of overlooked several red flags, like how bad the grammar and spelling were on her 99 theses. We went to one of the meetings after that just to see what was happening. The president looked flustered the whole meeting. She didn't let anyone talk, except for her friends, it appeared, and was losing control of the crowd, which was pretty big. People were yelling, it was getting out of control. Crazy lady had a petition to sign and proxy ballots so we could sign our vote over to her. We figured, yeah, let's get this incompetence and corruption off the board. We signed it, stupidly. Fast forward a few months and we hadn't heard much about anything. One day, the lady came back to our door. She was the new president, the old one had gotten voted out. But she needed help. My wife had told her she'd be willing to help before, so she was wondering if she would run for office. Apparently, several board members had resigned. My wife said, sure, but she'll keep to her own ethics and not simply vote for anything this lady presented. Because of a loophole in the voting rules, my wife won by a landslide along with the former president. Since the election only picked the members then decide amongst themselves who fills the president and vice president roles. The lady and the OG president ran for the president position. The OG laid out his experience and how he planned to run things. The lady went on a rant about how mistreated she was and how everyone was out to get her. The vote was split coming to the last vote, my wife. My wife voted for the OG president. The lady was furious. She was stammering to herself for about 20 minutes while my wife got elected VP. The lady confronted my wife in the parking lot calling her an ungrateful traitor, a turncoat, a demon from purgatory, and she hoped my children would burn along with her, and that Jesus would swallow our building in a sinkhole. Then the rest of the story came out slowly over the next few weeks. The old president wasn't a strong leader, but a strong leader wasn't really necessary for this board until crazy lady came along. The old president's condo flooded due to a problem with the infrastructure, and she got an approved payout from the condo association in accordance with the rules and laws. Crazy lady saw this and got greedy. She lived in a top-floor condo that had skylights. Yearly the HOA power washes the buildings. The power washers damaged the skylight and caused flooding into her condo, damaging a small spot of carpet. She also claimed the power washing broke her dryer. We have to get the dryer vents cleaned yearly and present receipts. She didn't do that and had a bird's nest in there. She requested reimbursement for about $60,000. The old board said, nope. Her request was so petty, she overthrew the board by a populist grassroots campaign to get it fulfilled. Her first order of business? Approve her request. She did it in a very shady way, in a private session which was against board regulations. The management company withheld the payment from her as a result, stalling for months. The first order of business my wife took was to find a bit of Robert's Rules of Order that let her redo that vote in public. They revised down the reimbursement to a few $100s. According to the bylaws, damage to flooring is paid out based on the original value of the contractor-grade carpet installed in the units adjusted for inflation. The damage was small, so not much payout. The lady slowly stopped coming to meetings, showing up just enough that she wouldn't get removed from office by default, but didn't run again. During her time in office, she ran things into the ground. Regular maintenance was not performed properly, normal procedures ground to a halt. There were constant shouting matches at the meetings and the police had to be called on a regular basis because she instigated with community members. The lawyers from the management company had to be present at all times to make sure she didn't mess things up, and she hired a videographer to film the meetings, all of which ended up costing the community about $10,000 in fees. Literal sinkholes were developing under some of the buildings, cracking the foundations. She ignored them for almost a year, costing the community hundreds of thousands of dollars. After this happened, our kids were with a babysitter playing outside. They were 3, 1, and 1. Crazy lady saw them and made a beeline to the babysitter. Fortunately, one of our other neighbors was there and started screaming at crazy lady. We have no idea what crazy lady's intentions were, but we're eternally grateful for the neighbor's intervention. Crazy lady also made the news once over dog poop. One of our neighbors had a fluffy white dog. She worked and another neighbor who lived in the same building as crazy lady walked her dog. One day the dog walker was getting into her building, and she accidentally spilled coffee in the common area, maintained by the community. She tried to clean it, but it left a barely noticeable stain. Crazy lady saw and was furious, insisting the lady replace the carpet. The lady, rightly, said no. So crazy lady and her sister started stalking the dog walker. The dog walker would notice them glaring from the windows, even hiding behind bushes. One day, the dog owner got a summons for court. The crazy sisters pressed charges on the dog walker for not picking up the dog's poop, and the dog owner was held responsible. Eventually the dog was cleared because the evidence the crazy sisters had was of a massive pile of dog poop that the little dog couldn't have produced, and the dog owner offered to bring in evidence of that, but the judge refused to allow poop in the courtroom. After the first month everything settled down. People stopped coming to meetings again because everything was running like clockwork. Everything was clicking with the new board, and not only was normal maintenance being performed, but improvements were also made and money was saved. It's amazing how a fire draws a crowd like popcorn to a movie. The lesson here is to pay attention to politics, and you can enact change if you want. Next one is titled, HOA President Won't Let Someone Finish Building Their Home. My neighborhood is about half done with many homes in the middle of construction. The HOA teamed up with a specific designer and contractor to build all of the custom homes in the neighborhood. You can pick from about 15 different designs and change them in any way you like. Someone decided to change up the entire design completely, added a third garage, and lofted their second floor into the third, added windows facing south for sunlight in winter, etc. It looks super cool and I love it. But our president doesn't. He yelled at workers and put caution tape around the home. He sent out a letter and called for a meeting. He's upset that this person's house won't fit in the neighborhood, and was not an approved design choice. Of course, the design was approved by the city. There's nothing in the government docs that says you can't go off the base designs. Only that you have to use that builder, who is really good in my opinion, and you can't have the same colors next to each other. The president is just jealous that someone has a better home than he does. He has the smallest home in the whole neighborhood. I kid you not. 2 beds, 1 bath. Who builds a custom home that small? Anyhow, they have stopped working on that home. I can't wait to see how this plays out. The HOA is clearly in the wrong, and the president is soon up for re-election in 3 months. He's really just digging himself a hole, and it's fun to watch. Next one is titled, HOA Board Members Have No Soul. Couple days ago we had a sweet old man accidentally crash into our fence. He fell asleep at the wheel for a second and veered off the road. Fortunately he was alright. HOA drives a board member out in a fancy little Tesla. He's got his little laptop on the dashboard. He comes out as this old man is talking to the police and comes straight to us. My roommate had grabbed a cup of water and asked the HOA guy if he could hand it the old guy since he was on that side of the fence and could reach him. Dude gets all smug and goes, "I'm gonna just let you handle that," and proceeds to ask a bunch of rapid questions about our fence and if there's any damages. Everyone's all shaken up, mind you, and we still were making sure this guy was okay. Told him far as we could see nothing was damaged, it was just a little metal fence. There was no need to come after this poor old man who already was having a rough enough day as it was. Anyway, soon as this homeowner association's a whole got told off, he just rolled his eyes at us and dipped. Didn't once even look in this old man's direction, let alone check if he was okay. Just absolutely heartless. Next one is titled, My HOA literally has something personal against us. The HOA leader for my neighborhood is this guy who lives 2 to 3 houses down the way, and he's been leader for like 50 years. My dad and his son were friends and would regularly play basketball on his driveway. HOA guy didn't like that as he thought it was a bad influence, and chased my dad and other neighborhood kids away. Also, my dad's name is John, and there was another friend of HOA guy's kid named John. One day, the other John puked on HOA guy's carpeting and ran off. The kid said, "John puked on the carpet," and got my dad kicked out. Also, my grandpa Bob had an old toilet, and left it out on the curb for the garbagemen to deal with. They ignored it, and Bob started getting fines. He went straight to the city council and complained, so the HOA had to deal with it and pay for it. There's a lot more examples of bullcrap between us, but you get the idea. All this went straight to the HOA guy seeing me on my bike riding around and ducking flipped me off. I had no part in this, as this was all in the 80s, and I wasn't even a thought yet. Somehow, I get the feeling that petty retired people with too much time on their hands shouldn't run anything. Next one is titled, "Begin the Rebellion." We no longer have a HOA for our community area. Though it was not this specific complaint that ended it, it was this complaint that started the rebellion. We'd had some minor run-ins with the HOA. We had opted not to have an oak tree in our yard, near the street, provided free by the builder. That started a very early rift with the HOA from the day we built the house. We didn't have any rolling elevation to the front yard. The builder opted to put the driveway on the wrong side of the corner, rather than make a tough climb for the driveway. Although the city approved everything and technically nothing violated the HOA cited continuity as an issue with our house. We didn't fit in. Our house was the subject of more than one HOA meeting. We would get the letter. I decided to see what the big hubbub was about. Someone filed a complaint that we were not properly picking up after our dogs in the corner lot. Everyone has to walk past it. No one knew I was there. So, I raised my hand like a schoolboy. I identified myself as the owner of the lot on the corner, and we have no pets. Well, not other than turtles, and they currently occupy an aquarium. I haven't trained them for the leash yet. Without identifying anyone, though I looked at them in turn while glancing about at others present, I said that other homeowners like to walk their dogs past our property and allow their dogs to use our property as a makeshift restroom. And not pick up after them. I do, in fact, pick up the stuff left by other homeowners' pets on our property as often as I can. However, the difficulty of picking up after multiple homeowners' pets is not to be discounted. Especially since some people allow the long leashes so that their dogs can use any part of our yard they choose. Perhaps a discussion on picking up after pets leaving leftovers in other people's yards would be more beneficial to the time and efforts of the HOA? This, of course, only angered the HOA. They started filing complaints outside of meetings, so that I couldn't reply to them. The final one did in the HOA, as it pretty much started tearing apart the HOA. The HOA filed a complaint that my air conditioner on the roof was visible from the road. The HOA agreement specifically states that no roof-based equipment shall be visible from the ground. I took this to the HOA meeting to be addressed. After all, the builder had put in the air conditioner at the time of construction, and it was not a modification we had applied. It was not visible from in front of the house or the sides. I was curious where they were looking from since the house is 2 stories high. The head of the HOA said that if you drive up the street that you can see the air conditioner plain as day. That is a direct violation of the HOA agreement and we should immediately move on to fines. This was settled business. Up the street, you can see all the homes except for those at the highest point of the area, including the HOA head's house. Therefore, he was in violation as well, so were all of his neighbors. So was everyone in the meeting except for 3 people. So, if fines were to be the settled business at this point, they were voting to fine nearly everyone present. Instead, the HOA voted to eject me from the meeting and the HOA for being a troublemaker. They said they would contact the builder as to what to do with a property owner outside the HOA. I told them the builder went out of business last year, so good luck with that. After that, everyone else wondered why they were part of a HOA anymore as well. It took less than 9 months for the HOA to fall apart. Last one is titled, HOA hires attorney for condo property tax appeal who doesn't do anything. I own a condo in Chicago with the most idiotic HOA. Aren't they all? Or I suspect they are doing some shady things. They hire an attorney using HOA funds to conduct property tax appeal for each condo unit. They gave us an option to opt out, but since HOA funds were being used, why not opt in since I pay them? Well, a week after the final day to appeal with the county had passed, the HOA sends an email stating the attorney does not have a reasonable basis to pursue an assessment appeal before the assessor. They base this on the fact that we had 2 units recently sold, in same apartment building, about $30,000 more than what they were originally purchased at. I thought the whole point of property taxes is to look at comparable in the neighborhood. If you are going to file an appeal for all condos that are built identical, then it should have been compared to other units around the block, not compared to the same condo units within the building. Looks like the attorney just made free bucks doing nothing. Also, the main issue is the fact that they waited until after the appeal date passed, or I could have tried to do it myself to a comparable in the same zip code. Now I have to wait 3 years to appeal it. Also, I swear the HOA board members act like they are board of directors to a Fortune 100 company. The egos on these people is insane. Thanks for listening.